Hello everybody and welcome to today's video. This is part 3 of chapter 8. I'm going to see if I can get it all done in this chapter or in this video, but if not, we will have to go into a part 4. So let's jump right in. Fighting the disease to please. The tragedy of the death of John the Baptist can teach us some important lessons in the fight against the disease to please. 1. Beware of making promises in order to impress someone. So do you recognize anything about yourself in Herod's story? And if you were listening yesterday, that's where I told it. I certainly do. Although it seems safe to say that people-pleasing has never brought most of us to the point of having someone executed, we can still fall into a trap like Herod did. Especially when we shoot off our mouths just to impress, please, or appease someone. When my youngest son was in middle school, he told me that all his friends were going south to a warm climate for spring break. We weren't planning on any southbound excursions, so he was bummed. He didn't understand why we, too, weren't packing the car and heading for Florida. It was his first year at a new school, and I think he felt left out when the guys talked about their upcoming trips. He did discover the next day, however, that 2 newer friends were also staying at home. Now there is a fabulous and popular indoor water park just across the Ohio border, so my son came up with a brainstorm. I would take him there, and his 2 friends would come. When he asked if this was okay, I said I would love to take you. But it just won't work. We don't know the families of those friends yet. They won't want me to take their boys to another state. Besides, I have writing to do, and it requires me to be online. I need to be home. If all this weren't so, I'd be happy to take you to that awesome place. But I'm sorry, buddy. Looks like it won't work out. Okay, half-truths again. Nothing in that narrative was a lie, but the real and whole truth is that the place was outrageously expensive, and we simply couldn't afford to go there even for one night, not to mention the high price of gas for the 9-hour round trip. I wanted to tell my boy this reason, but I already knew he felt many of the other kids he hung out with were wealthier than us. I didn't want our son to think he couldn't afford nice trips. Excuse me. So to keep up a good image and rank right up there with the other moms now packing their sunscreen, I left this reason out. Well, he mentioned the water park idea to his friends. Not an invite, just a mention. Their parents said if we decided to go, they were fine with their kiddos tagging along. We had plenty of mutual friends who would vouch for our parenting prowess. My son hopped online. Ta-da! Wireless internet at the park. This was a new feature back then, so I assumed it wasn't offered. I could work while the boys slid down the torpedo slide. When I saw the excitement in his eyes after the discovery of these facts, I just couldn't say no. My husband, though not happy with the way I'd shot off my mouth, covered for me and agreed I could take the boys to the park. I smiled on the outside, but inside my stomach sank. I didn't want my husband to have to work overtime to cover this trip. I refused to put it on a credit card. I didn't know how I'd pay for it. Thankfully, I found a coupon online, and then, much to my surprise and delight, a payment arrived from a project I'd forgotten about that covered most of the trip. I escaped that one by the skin of my teeth. I still wonder what I would have done if that check hadn't arrived. But in retrospect, I should have shot straight with my son. Then I could have used it as a life lesson about what is important, not money. I could have told him we could pray about it for a few days. Then when the check arrived, I could have pointed him to God's provision and perfect timing. I am now more careful to watch my words, so I don't have to do something I promised, but really didn't want to deliver. Commitments can be costly. Some cost us money. Herod's cost John his life. So beware of making a promise just to impress, please, or appease someone else. Excuse me. Number 2, let your words be few. In biblical times, when written legal documents were few and far between, oaths were taken very seriously. Perhaps it was an oath to another person as part of a business transaction. Maybe it was an oath that had to do with behavior or personal commitments. Whatever the case, oaths were not taken lightly. Not only were they spoken in front of others, oaths were also spoken before God. Here's what the Old Testament wisdom writer has to say to potential oath makers. Do not be quick with your mouth. Do not be hasty in your heart to utter anything before God. God is in heaven and you are on earth, so let your words be few. When it comes to speaking an oath or boldly stating something we want to do, we need to keep this verse in mind. I admire people who let their words be few. I wish I were more like them. The fewer words we speak, the less chance we have of succumbing to the trap of people-pleasing with dazzling declarations we will later wish we could take back. Letting our words be few helps us avoid the people-pleasing snare. So does another little trick we can pull out of our handbags when we're asked a question. Number 3, do not answer right away. If someone asks you to take on a responsibility or asks your opinion about something you aren't certain of, simply do not answer right away. Kindly tell them that you need time to think about it, to pray about it. Even if it is a responsibility you are being asked to take on, you need time to discuss it with your spouse or family members. Don't be quick to give an answer before you have really thought it through. Putting some distance between the asking and the answering often helps us make the best choice. One based on pleasing God rather than pleasing people. And during this time frame, we can learn to practice allowing our words to be few. Oh, how difficult this can be for those of us who seem to constantly run our mouths. Choosing silence over words seems foreign to us, but it is an art we must cultivate, and it can save us a lot of heartache from poor decisions and failed promises. Get some water, guys. My mouth is dry. Okay. Number 4, keep God at the center of your plans. It is easy to say what you have planned to do in the near or distant future. It is natural to want to set goals, to have ambitions and desires for your career or your family. It isn't wrong to want to aspire to grow a business or grow a family or to tackle some other endeavor in the future. But while we might be excited about what tomorrow holds, we should stop short of boasting about what we are going to do. The author of James puts it this way: Now listen, you who say, today or tomorrow we will go to this or that city, spend a year there, carry on business and make money. You do not even know what will happen tomorrow. What is your life? You are a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, if it is the Lord's will, we will live and do this or that. As it is, you boast in your arrogant schemes. All such boasting is evil. It isn't wrong to give voice to our dreams. What we are cautioned against is boasting about tomorrow without God anywhere in the picture. We need to keep God's wishes at the center of our desires. We can strategize and plan, but we need to run our plans through the grid of God's plan. Having this mindset is part of what sets us apart from the world. People in the world make plans according to what they feel is best for them, what will bring the most financial gain, or what will bring them notoriety and success. God invites us to make our plans according to what will be in line with His desire for us and what will bring glory to Him, not ourselves. In the same way, we need to make sure our words are first meant to please God, not our hearer. The Apostle Paul offers a helpful perspective on this. We need to ask ourselves, Am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God? Am I trying to please people? If I were still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ. So which will you be? A servant of the Joneses? All the people you want to impress and please? Or a servant of Christ? I know which one I'd choose in a heartbeat. Let's see. I think I can get in one more, and then we need to move on to tomorrow. Number 5. Know when to eat your words and admit your fault. Consider this little wisdom scenario from Proverbs. My son, if you have put up security for your neighbor, if you have shaken hands in pledge for a stranger, you have been trapped by what you said, ensnared by the words of your mouth. So do this, my son, to free yourself, since you have fallen into your neighbor's hands. Go to the point of exhaustion and give your neighbor no rest. Allow no sleep to your eyes, no slumber to your eyelids. Free yourself like a gazelle from the hand of the hunter, like a bird from the snare of the fowler. Although this scenario refers to a financial transaction, I think it also applies to any words we commit to a hearer and then regret. When we get trapped by our words, we need to deal with the situation quickly, allowing no sleep to our eyes until we have gone and freed ourselves. I know that the times when my mouth has been a trap, I have been in anguish and emotional turmoil until I go back to the person and either clarify or apologize for what I've said. I have a cosmetologist friend who runs a basement salon in a town about 10 minutes from me. I love going to her to get my hair cut, not only because she does a great job, but because her overhead is so low she doesn't charge very high prices. But a few times getting my hair cut has gotten me into verbal trouble. Now, please don't get an image in your mind of a gossipy beautician who wants to divulge all the town's secrets. My friend is a godly Christian who is one of the biggest prayer warriors I know. However, we do know a lot of the same people, and there are times when the subject of one or more of them comes up. More than once, I have started to say things I shouldn't and had to stop myself. There have been other times I didn't follow the little check in my spirit and continued talking to the point where I was now saying things that were just downright wrong. I was truly trapped by my words. There were a few times I felt guilty as I drove back east to my little hometown. One time in particular, I just couldn't get off my mind the fact that I had talked about another friend while I was getting my hair highlighted. What I said about her was true, but it certainly wasn't kind or necessary. I knew what I had to do. Before any more time passed, I picked up the phone and apologized to my hairdresser friend for what I had said. She was gracious and forgiving, but she did say she was a little surprised that I had talked like that since she knew I was friends with the person I was talking about. Because I apologized, I was more careful what I said next time we were together. And because I did it soon, the offense was over and the guilt was gone, and I didn't dwell on it. In other situations, I have let days or weeks go by with a nagging guilt that I really needed to apologize, and oh, how I hate to admit this, there have been a few instances where I let years go before I did anything about it. In fact, just recently I sent a private Facebook message to someone from my college days that I had long ago offended with my words. Every time I saw her picture on Facebook, my conscience prickled again. I knew I owed her an apology. I knew what I should do, but I kept putting it off because I was embarrassed to admit that after 25 years, I still was haunted by what I'd said. The moment I hit send, I felt freed like a bird from a steel cage. I knew that no matter her response, I had finally done the right thing. I was no longer tethered by a heavy chain of guilt for failing to admit my fault. And apparently neither was she, because she apologized for things she had said about me. Now we can see each other's smiling profile pictures without even a twinge of guilt. If you've ever flown in an airplane, you may recall that when flight attendants review the plane's safety instructions, they mention what you should do should there be an emergency landing and a need to quickly exit the aircraft. Remember, the words coming from the loudspeaker will advise, the closest exit may be behind you. It is the same with words. If you harbor any guilt or regret about something you said in the past, either to or about someone else, you may wish to look for an escape plan to get out of the situation safely. It might mean contacting them by letter, phone, or privately online to offer an apology and ask for their pardon. Remember, the closest exit may be behind you. In order to avoid having to clarify or apologize to others as often in the future, let's learn to deliver our words according to a well-known phrase found in Scripture. It's about telling the truth, but even more, it's about how to tell it. Sorry this one was so long, guys, and I still didn't get through. I will end this here. Hope you've all had a very wonderful day, and I will see you tomorrow for the last part 4 of Chapter 8. Have a good day, or hope you had a great day, guys. Bye-bye.